earlier and then wasn't actually looking at. And let's take a look. So I'm pretty sure this is the Adept game then? Or am I looking at the different replay again? I've tried to tell everyone to go back, and if you're posting in the thread, to please go edit your post, or if you're uploading a new replay, make sure you let me know your in-game name. Because otherwise it's really hard when I like throw a whole bunch of replays in the folder and I'm like, which one had the name? So let me just double check. That one was Fan Von Deer. Yeah, Fan Von Deer. This is the right one. Okay, so Resonating Glaives is here, but there's no actual Adepts yet. So he's gone +1 in Glaives. He's got some Stalkers, some Immortals, some Sentries. APM's like almost triple of the opponents. Is floating a lot of money, but has a Warp Prism with the push, which is pretty good. As well as 5 more gateways on the way. Like, this is actually pretty damn good. I think this is definitely gold play, not silver. Even though I think he's underrating himself a little bit. Yeah. I think he's definitely underrating himself. Oh, by the way, guys, sorry, we are resetting the raffle. Raffle is being closed, reset, and now is open once more. So you can sign up for the next raffle. I'll be doing another double draw in about 30 to 45 minutes, and we'll see how we go. So he comes in with a big Adept push here. Ooh, it's not that big, actually. 2k minerals in the bank. His opponent's got +1, he's got +1. Adepts do shade into the main, so they're going to do some economic damage. So this is an example, guys, of a guy who says, well, my Adept push failed, you know, I think maybe multitasking, lack of this, lack of that, blah, blah, blah. Very simple solution. He went for a big Adept push, but this actually wasn't a big Adept push. It should have been, but was floating 2k minerals. Now imagine if there was 17 more Adepts with this army, guys. 17 more Adepts, 34 more supply of army. He would have rolled this Terran so hard. He's got Glaives, he's got +1, he's got an Immortal. Like, he's got everything he needs to win this game right here, right now. And yeah, I think honestly, if we look at this, we say, oh, okay, well, how can we spend that money? Now, it's easy to just say, I suck at spending my money. Or, oh, yeah, this happens a lot. Simple solution. Number one is look at the gateway positioning. This is so awkward. You don't want to wall off against Terran at all. So we don't want to wall off. We don't want to have all these awkward gateways. Something I always do is I make sure I add a ton of gateways kind of just in nice little neat grids in my main base. So a great tip for you Protoss players is try to always put like a pylon out just with heaps of space around it. Another pylon with like heaps of space around it. And that way you can then just go like gateway, 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 gateway. And you can build like 6 gateways in a neat grid. It doesn't really block anything. But if you start accidentally walling off your own bases, what if your opponent pushes out here and your army's trapped behind your wall? You're going to have to lose your whole wall before you can engage him, right? And this happens a lot. So try to be a bit more organized with your gateways, and not just that, but we've got 2 bases fully saturated on minerals. Now you can, with really good macro, produce Adepts non-stop of 8 gateways with that. But we're talking about a player who's relatively new to the game. So when you're newer to the game, and even myself, I do this as a grandmaster player in all 3 races, guys, build extra gateways. Just make more. If you're Zerg, build some extra hatcheries. If you're Terran, maybe build a couple of extra barracks. It's way better to do that than to float all this money. So we can see Fan Von Deer was pushing out, had the Warp Prism, had the army, but the gateways weren't quite done yet. So what we can say, very simple, is let's go back and let's say, okay, you've already got this game plan of let's push with Adept Immortal. Let's do this more often in PvT until we get a bit better at it. So let's refine this game plan and remember, hey, way earlier, I should have been putting down a ton of gateways. So normally there should be a rhythm. You're dropping pylons just as you need them. You're getting out your tech units. You're getting your upgrades. And then you're saying, okay, around the time the upgrade's finished, and I have a Warp Prism, I'm going to push across the map. But before you're even pushing across, you should be thinking, all my minerals is going to get 10 or even 12 gateways. Let's just drop like 12, you know, another 8 gateways. Let's go up to heaps of gateways. And then if we're still floating money, let's wait. Let's wait for it. You can see Fan Von Deer was just a little bit slow with remembering when to add the gateways. They came down late and then only waited for a single round of warp-ins before committing. So it's like, okay, you know, 6 more Adepts and then let's go. But there's 1,800 more minerals in the bank. So if there was like, just wait another round, have another 4 or 5 more gateways, warp in another round of units and then go, you're going to be so much better off. So this is something you always want to remember. And this is one of the #1 problems Protoss players have. Sorry, my nose, it's like really itchy today. I don't know what's going on. Don't know if there's like a rogue booger or something. I think there's like a rogue booger. It's like tickling me, man. Where are you? Jeez. Rogue boogers are the worst. So, as a Protoss player, one of the big things which helped me out was memorizing my gateway timings and really making a real trigger in my brain. If I want to do a certain push, I want to remember to commit to those gateways way ahead of time to make sure I get that down. If he did that here, would have killed it with this adept push, would have been great. But let's also think about this just a little bit more. There's an observer seeing what's going on. Fan Von Deer had pretty good vision, but I would have loved to see this observer move around a little bit more and look for the army. He moved it there a little bit, but I would have loved for him to look out here and say, where's the rest of the force? Let's actually know what I'm engaging into. Because a lot of people just headbutt in blind. I would love to see him to just move that observer over and go, oh, there's his army. Okay, yeah. I mean, this is still a fine angle to engage from, but if you've at least got the information, you're going to feel a bit more comfy. So good play from Fan Von Deer. Didn't quite work out. The adept push kind of didn't work because he wasn't able to get his gateways up in time and spend his money. And then he accidentally pulled those adepts out of the main as well by F2ing, I think is what he did. I'm not 100% sure, but check this. These adepts would have killed a ton of SCVs, and then he just clicks his units home. So, oh, they're still on the hotkey, that's why. So, yeah, he should have, rather than using the hotkey and pulling them home, whenever you shade units in, you got to remember to either deselect them from your hotkey, or rather than boxing these units to send them, rather than control grouping them, box them and click them home that way. You're going to be so much better off. Now, behind this, Fan Von Deer, what's he doing? Watch his camera, guys. He's like, I guess I send some probes over there because these bases are oversaturated. Let's make some zealots. He doesn't have charge, so what are zealots going to do? Let's make an immortal. What do I do now? I guess, okay, let's make armor. Oh, should I make... He still hasn't made charge. He's like doing some chrono boosts. He's not really doing that much, and you can see he's kind of haphazardly trying to figure out what his next step should be. And this is not him being a bad player. This is him being an inexperienced player. And this is something that happens to everyone. Your plan fails and you don't have a second idea. You don't know what to do to transition off the back of that. So how can you do that, guys? How can you transition better? It's not about saying, oh, if I was Neeb, I would already have Storm behind this and I'd be building Colossus because I'd be a pro gamer who's friggin' amazing. It's about just knowing what your follow-up is. So you should always have it in the back of your head. I'm going to do an Adept Immortal attack, and if that doesn't work, or if it does kind of work but doesn't finish the game, my next step is to do X. Now in this scenario, I feel like there is no plan. A good example would be let's go Storm or Colossus and get charge. But instead he's forgotten charge. He's transitioning to his third, which is great, but he hasn't taken extra gases either. So what Von Deer should be doing is like, okay, I should be taking extra gases. I should be maybe getting a second Robo and Colossus out, maybe getting Storm, but actually just having a clear little list in his head of like, get charge, get upgrades, add gases, probe the third, make splash damage. And suddenly he'd actually have a good idea of what's going on. But you can see he's kind of just like not really focused on what he should be doing. He realizes a push is coming, starts building shield batteries and kind of like panicking a little bit, but he doesn't actually have a good kind of plan here. He's got slow zealots, his adepts are all stuck behind each other there. And the thing is, if he actually had a bit of a clearer plan, he would have rolled it. Because even though I'm being very critical, he's actually killing it in terms of overall spending and producing stuff compared to his opponent. So if Von Deer gets just a little bit better at knowing what his next step is, he is going to just smash it. He's going to do so well with that. So here we go, he's making Mass Stalkers now. Mass Stalkers not a really good late game unit. They're a good support unit, but you don't really want to be massing them in the mid or late game. So he's going into Blink very late. Whereas you want to be having splash damage with that. So splash damage really important if you're a Protoss player, guys. As I always say, you can commit to a lot of Adepts and Stalkers, but only if you're going to be aggressive with it. If you're just going to sit back, you need to add a lot of splash damage. Colossus or Storm, something like that, and you'll do a really good job. So as it is, Mass Blink Stalker, not an effective unit in pitched battles. If you had a few Colossus in here, it'd be totally different. But not only that, guys, remember what I was talking about earlier. Scout with your Observer before you go in, because look at this defensive position. A Liberator, 3 tanks, a ton of bio in the perfect setup, and he's going to funnel through a choke point with a pure Stalker army, which gets shredded by tanks and Marauders. And this is going to be the worst fight we've seen today. And that's actually a compliment to Von Deer, because his first fight didn't go well for him, and he still got even / ahead in army size and economy, but just went a little bit too headbutty here. Remember, guys, don't go full Liverpool football fan. Rein it in a little bit. Save your Liverpool kisses for your for people you fight in the bar. In StarCraft, the headbutt to the face, not always the best maneuver. Something which I do a lot of the time as well. Is like, I think I can kill him, and I walk into like a really bad engagement. So anyway, GG's. He's gonna die after that to the counterattack. But a nice little game there. Just got to remember, guys, if you're gonna go for the aggression, that's great. But if you're gonna go into the later stages, get the splash damage, scout around a little bit more, and he still maybe could have fought that army, but he needed to not be attacking into sieged up tanks in a perfect angle of bio. So a little bit of a rough one, but we'll see how that goes. Oh, Sweffy Mo. I don't know if Sweffy Mo's around, but that replay is not